Today, it's all about brand. Branding isn't just for products or for celebrities. Personal branding is something everyone needs to think about.
The most important asset you have is yourself. It's the only asset nobody can take away from you. Think of yourself as an asset that's an investment just like these other things. If you don't brand yourself, other people will. And I guarantee you, they're not going to brand you in the way you would want them to brand you. You know, my whole career was a problem of rebranding myself at every step of the way. So I got that first job at a small ad agency. Then when I wanted to move to a big ad agency, everybody said to me, they branded me, you know, you're a small agency person. You know, you don't have any big agency experience. They always look for what you don't have in your background, you know, and it was, you don't have an MBA, you know, you don't have packaged goods experience, you don't have TV. And so in networking, I had a friend that worked at this big agency, Wells Rich Green, very creative agency, and he said, there's an opening on the I Love New York campaign. And I said, gee, I've been trying to get in there. And he happened to mention to me, well, I heard they have a very difficult client, but I'll see if I can get you an interview. So he got me a job interview, and at the job interview, the person interviewing me said, tell me about yourself. And I said, well, my specialty is working with difficult clients. And so I emphasized the difficult clients that I'd worked with, and I said, that's my specialty, and I like difficult assignments and difficult people. And actually that positioning, that brand positioning actually worked out well for me, because later when I made my next move, which was going from the ad agency side of the business, I wanted to get a corporate job, because ad agencies are very young places, and I was, you know, getting, you know, my late 30s, I was already thinking, you know, gee, do I have a career at the ad agency long term? So I wanted to get a corporate job, and again, I was branded in a way I didn't want to be branded, because what did people say? You don't have any corporate experience. You know, you know, you can't get this kind of job. Again, through networking, I got a job interview at a Wall Street firm, Shearson Lehman Brothers, and I had the job interview, and through networking, and the person interviewing me said, you know, what makes you think you can work with the investment bankers of Lehman Brothers? And I had heard through the grapevine that the previous person on that job hadn't lasted very long, because these investment bankers were very difficult. And it was working on the retail side of the business, consumer, but also the investment banking. And I had read some of those books about Wall Street at the time. You know, there's new ones coming out now because of the stuff that's happened on Wall Street. But at that time, the hot book was Greed and Glory on Wall Street, which I'd read. And it was about Lehman Brothers. And I wasn't sure I could handle those people. But in the job interview, I said, my specialty is working with difficult clients. And I've been working on the I Love New York campaign. And, you know, we work with politicians, and politicians have very big egos. And if I can work with people like that, I'm sure I can work with the investment bankers of Lehman Brothers.
Catherine Kaputa is a personal branding strategist, speaker, and author.
What was Barack Obama's, what's his brand idea? Change. I mean, politicians are good at that, but you couldn't have missed what his brand idea was during the election. Every time he spoke, he had change written on the wall behind him. He spoke about change. He looked like change. And what was Hillary Clinton's brand idea during the election? I'd say it was experience. She talked about experience. And it's interesting because she could have done a change positioning, but he couldn't have done experience. He had almost no experience. And it's interesting because for a brand idea, she chose first experience, and it turned out to be a problem, because in that particular, again, when you're doing a SWOT analysis, that particular market with an unpopular president and a war, the message of change, that brand positioning was a more powerful one than experience. And experience almost had a negative feeling to it, because maybe more of the same, not enough change given what was going on. All right, let's look at just one other person here. Okay, who's this? Okay, what's the brand idea and what's the visual identity? Let's go first. What's the brand idea? What's the idea she attached to her brand? Renegade. She's got a book out called Going Rogue. What did she talk about at her speech? She's a maverick. You know, I'm a hockey mom from Wasilla. You know, I'm not like all these establishments. I'm a maverick. You know, that was, you know, McCain talked about being a maverick too, but she glommed onto that, but she talked about that. So her whole positioning was, you know, I'm a maverick. So, and that's, again, it was an interesting strategy for the time, because it basically said you're not like the former establishment. So from a brand positioning and a brand strategy, it was good. How would you describe her visual identity? Very attractive, no doubt about that. But how else, what kind of branding does she have going on in terms of visual identity? Okay, conservative. Are there, okay, are there any brand trademarks or visual trademarks that are different about her? Those glam glasses. Those are different glasses. One of the things you think about in branding is to have something about you that's a trademark element. No one was wearing glasses like that. It's a different style, and you know, it became her trademark. But what else is different about her look? Her updo hair. Not many women wear that. Most, you know, a lot of women wear a bob like I'm wearing, but she had that updo, and it's a very different hairstyle, so it really branded her in a different way. You know, it made her easy for Tina Fey to mimic, you know, but it made her very distinct. You know, she has a very distinct, and, you know, one of the other things about Sarah Palin is we talked earlier about 2 seconds and the power of a first impression. I'm convinced she must be great at a first impression. You know, she had a 30-minute interview with John McCain, and he offered her the vice presidency slot in his campaign.
From Madison Avenue to Wall Street, to founder of her own company, Self-Brand, Catherine Kaputa learned that the best use of branding is not for products, but for people to create their own business success. That's why she wrote, "You Are a Brand," winner of the prestigious Ben Franklin Award for Best Career Book. As an active female business leader, Catherine also speaks on women and success, the topic of her new book, The Female Brand.
Look at the Fortune 500 list. We've had a 25% increase in the number of women on the list over last year. I mean, we're not where we want to be, but this is a tremendous move forward.
Catherine is a media commentator on personal branding who has been featured on CNN, ABC, NBC, and MSNBC. Catherine has also been profiled in Fortune, The London Observer, and The New York Times. To book Catherine as a speaker or a workshop leader, please contact the organization that provided this video.
Growing up, my mom always said to me, you know, work hard, Catherine, and you'll be successful. But I don't think hard work is enough. Hard work is important, but it's not everything. And so my formula for success is hard work plus branding equals success.